So, ladies, this is the most exciting part of the night. This is where we get to sip on a little something and talk about what's real, like what's going on. So, what we're gonna do, you've seen our faces all through, like the session, but we want to just introduce ourselves. The She Is Royal way, and we're gonna get into it. So I am joined by my lovely She's Royal sisters, and we're gonna be talking about everything to do with life, dating, marriage, the weight, love, whatever. We're gonna cover it. And if you've got any questions, this is your opportunity to put them in the chat, because straight after this we're gonna take some questions from you and we're gonna see how we can best answer them. Is that all right? Cool. So before we even get started, can we just do a quick cheers? Like, yes, we please. Are royal. Cheers. Cheers. And if you are tuning in, this is your opportunity to celebrate yourself right now, and cheers to you for life, for being alive, for being awesome, for feeling the fear and doing it anyway, like sis Abby said earlier. See, I called you Abby. Can you imagine? Anyway, all right. So without further ado, my name is Nurturing Nashe. I am super excited about what we're about to do. But anyways, I am a speaker, a purpose coach. Anyway, that's me, but we're gonna get into more about who we are in a moment. So Sis Sandra, do you wanna kick us off and we go this way? Oh, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made and I'm a queen. Hello.
Hey guys, my name is Savvy Sandra and I am a business analyst by profession. I'm also a singer, an eyelash technician, and I'm also venturing into selling hair as well. So I wear many hats. I'm super excited as well for this Q&A with these lovely ladies. And I am a queen. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made and I am a queen.
Yes. Hi everybody.
Sorry, I'm just giddy from the whole session that we've had. But yeah, I would just say I am gorgeous, Georgia.
Yes,
you are. Okay. I am very passionate about people, very passionate about healthcare, and just passionate about when people connect with information and freedom, just getting the power into people's hands, educating them to make decisions for themselves. And yeah, as you know, I'm a singer too, but yeah. Okay. And I am fearfully, wonderfully made, and I'm a queen.
Yes, queen.
And we crown you.
Hello again, I'm Ivy, and as you heard earlier, I'm a life and confidence coach. I'm all about helping you live the life that God created you to live. I'm illuminating Ivy. I didn't say I'm illuminating Ivy, and I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I am a queen.
And I am Joyce Jane. I am legal officer here at World Lanterns. And by profession, not just waving it around. And I am also passionate about just encouraging people, whether it's the small, whether it's, just taking the time to speak to people, just taking that time. That's where I get my sense of purpose from. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I am a queen.
Amen. Yes, you are. Okay, so ladies, I've got some prepared questions that we're gonna get into. So anyways, I don't know, but I'm gonna wing it because I love the tea. Anyway, and I'm so happy because at the beginning of the session we spoke about it, and everyone here said that they're ready to pour out and nothing is off limits. So we are getting ready to really take our masks off, take the facade and put it in the bin, and just be real with how things have been going. So it's 2021. We had lockdown in 2020. Some of us weren't able to date because we were locked down in the house. What did that look like? Who wants to go first?
I guess I can take that. For me, yeah, it was a bit difficult. Obviously, not being able to go out, and I'm the kind of person that I prefer to meet people in person. So I'm not really an app kind of person to go onto Hinge and all these other things to try and find guys to date. So yeah, it's been a bit difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it's difficult.
Jay, what about you?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I took my time. I did. I was one of those people. I was trying to encourage my friends to do it too, and so we all did to get together.
Online dating.
Online dating.
Okay, nice.
The app. So I did try 2, and they were interesting to say.
What
the
were the
least.
2? I'm curious.
So I did
Like-
a Christian one, which is Salt.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
heard things about salt.
I've never heard of it.
interested to hear your
Never heard of it.
experience.
I'll be brutally honest. The selection is few,
Okay.
but there are genuine connections I made on there. Actually, connected with one guy on there as well. So yes, it is. It doesn't have a lot. I feel like it's still in its early stages. It's not like, Hinge, you could be there. It's definitely not like that. But it has its benefits. And then I tried Hinge, but I was very strict and trying to look for Christian men.
Yeah.
But even in that, I think you connect with a lot of people. But to be brutally honest, I'm taking it back to being brutally honest. A lot of people were bored during lockdown.
Yeah. So they were on apps. Yeah.
They were just looking to talk to people because they weren't having that same opportunity to talk to other people.
Okay, so okay, like, is it that online dating is now the thing to do? If so, like, what are the pros and the cons?
I think so. I think it's easy because we're always on our phones. Like, we have Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook. So having another app doesn't seem so alien to people. So obviously you can just take your time, swipe through. So I've actually been on Hinge before, but I think I don't have the patience for it. So like, there's loads of options. Like, you're just swiping through, and as you said, it's like trying to find Christian men or people that are aligned with your values, or they've got good enough jobs, or they're tall enough. Lord Jesus.
Say it again.
Like, so yeah, I think for me, I need to find the patience to do it. So, but I think a lot of people are warming up to the idea of, downloading an app, like it's, nothing alien. But yeah, I think with things opening up slowly, I think a lot more people will be open to, going back to normal, meeting people like the organic way when you're out, at a restaurant or doing something active. So yeah, I think that's kind of like where the shift is taking place at the moment.
So I'm taking it that's your preference.
That's my preference, I like to be outside. Like, let me out.
Because I think there's something about people also misrepresenting themselves online. So like, it requiring a lot of discernment to make sure that the person is who they say they are.
It's hard enough organically.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Who they say they are.
It's
Exactly.
It's true.
So Ivy, so out of all of us, please show us
I was
take
just gonna check if I'm wearing it. The real truth is, I don't always wear my ring. I don't usually wear my rings, but today I brought them out.
today. Tell us, how did you know that your husband was the one?
How long have you got?
That's so sweet.
No, the story is actually a long one. Let me try and cut it short and just cut me off because I like to talk. How did I know my husband was the one is a loaded question for me. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't know about those stories. I mean, what we saw on TV, you looked at him, his skin was glowing. That really wasn't my experience. I would say it was a deep knowing. I would actually say I knew he was the one from our first date.
Wow.
But not in the way that you guys think. In that, by the end of our first date, like let's put it this way, I was late to our first date. I've improved, but I was late to our first date. But when I saw my darling husband, I'm gonna say some things that people are gonna be like, I can't believe she's talking about her husband like that. He knows this is how I am. But when I first saw him, I was like, why is he pairing that coat with these jeans, with these shoes, and there's no shape up?
Oh,
and
no.
I just couldn't understand. But we sat down and we talked all night on our first date in a restaurant to the point that we didn't eat.
Oh,
By the time we
wow.
were ready to order food, they were like, the kitchen's closed. So just to give you an idea of how lit the conversation was. And I think the reason I say I knew is because I went home and I was like, crap, I'm not attracted to this guy. But I would be doing myself a disservice not to see him again and not to give this a chance. That's what I mean by like, I knew that he was something that I needed, even though the peripheries weren't adding up. And I'll stop there. There's a whole heap, but I'll stop from, I think I knew very early on there was something special about him.
Do you know what that makes me think of? It makes me think of like, say for example, I had a bag, a little bag, and I put £1 million in that little bag, and then I said, girls, here you go, here's a little bag. Probably you might be like, why is she give? Oh, actually, let's say it's a bin bag, and I gave it to you. You'd be like, Nashe, why are you giving us a bin bag? And then you might probably just chuck it in the bin without looking in. And then there's money inside. Sometimes we miss our gifting or our gift because of the packaging.
Packaging.
And like all this thing about, oh my gosh, he's not my type.
On paper.
On paper.
Take it back.
Oh my gosh. But so like how do you then go from not being attracted to somebody
how
to
to
them
process-
being
That's such a good question. And a lot of people will be like shaking their heads. Two things. I believe that you can create attraction. I really genuinely, and I say this having been someone that has genuinely created attraction, but also there was a bit of attraction there in that it wasn't like there was zero attraction whatsoever. There was a little bit of attraction there, but you can grow attraction when you open up your heart to everything. Wow. So like when you close off yourself because he doesn't have the shape up, at the end of the day, I was like, okay, the conversation is so good. What can I do here? I mean, we can go on a shopping spree. From the second conversation, I was like, I love going shopping with guys. And I was like, you have such a great body type.
Dropping hints.
I would love to take you shopping. Do you know what I'm saying? And he was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, we went shopping. He spent a lot of money, had heart palpitations and returned the things. This is what love does. Because he was like, we were in All Saints, and he was like, I was like, yeah, get that.
He
was
has to
like,
show. He has to show.
And then he was like, I checked my chest.
I have to.
So I love that because I was like, he's frugal. He returned the things. That's the kind of man I want. But I think it was over the years, the attraction didn't stay the same, but I think one thing is I was like, Lord, I'm a woman of faith, I'm Christian, so I was like, God, if this is the person for me, I don't want to miss out on him because there are things that aren't adding up. And there were times I even said to him, look, let's take it slow. But I just kept praying that if he was for me, that God would give me the desire. Amen. And there was a prayer that I prayed, and I still pray to this day, help me to see him as you see him. And slowly but surely, as I opened myself up to everything, like I'm not a touchy-feely person, so he really struggled with me and physical touch, and he's a physical touch person. So like he'd try and hold my hands publicly, and I'd like move my hands away. So one of the very practical things was when we got married, like I would purposefully like hug him or hold his hand, and at first sometimes it felt uncomfortable, and I know this probably seems strange. Like she doesn't want to hold her husband's hands. I can't explain it to you.
it's not your love
But
language?
it was just not my love language, so I would go out of my way, even though it felt uncomfortable, to hug him or to compliment him, to look for things that I was attracted to. And I kid you not, it's like, I don't know what's happened. My husband is like the hottest person. I'm not making it up. I look at him sometimes and I'm just like, and it's his heart as well. Like you can't not see somebody's heart and not be attracted to them. Like you just, if you are really looking at the person's heart and everything he does and who he is and how he loves me, I'm like, this guy is the most attractive person I have ever met.
Wow.
Plus, we thank God, to the glory of God, he's finally been gymming.
Okay.
Getting that body. And look, I'm enjoying. That's what I said. I said that bin bag that you guys were throwing out.
Reevaluation.
Just saying, look inside the bin bag.
And the thing is, because we are women, right? We're created to be helpmeets. Sometimes you need, in order to be a helpmeet, you need to be availing yourself to be able to help. Now, this is not saying go and be silly and be looking for projects. Like as in, but you know what I mean? Like, so we shouldn't be expecting, like we pray to God and say, God, give me oranges. I really want to eat oranges. And what God does is, because he's such a faithful God, he will never just give you the orange. He will give you the orange seed so that you can plant it, nurture it, and then it becomes an orange tree. And then that way you can eat oranges forever. If he just gives you one orange, you just eat it and then it's done. But when he gives you the seed and then you work on it, you've got it for the life, for the whole life, for your whole life. I said the life. That, anyways, my English
And
sometimes
can I just say
doesn't
one thing
English.
on that is that I think the thing, my experience with love is that everyone thinks that you have to be super, super, super in love early on, right? And then, as you get older, the love fades away. If that's people's experience, I'm so glad that's not mine. Because my experience was that the love was always there, but the attraction wasn't hot from the beginning. But it is getting more and more like that now. So I'm like, if this is going to be my story,
Yes.
I'm down for that. I'm down for us keeping falling in love as we get older in our marriage versus I didn't have the experience, because I did resent. I was very resentful in the beginning. Don't just say that. I was very resentful towards God because, like, I'm a diehard romantic. So I was like, why am I not feeling?
Like the butterflies. And
Where is
everything,
my Prince Charming? So yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Gio, what about you? What's your love experience?
Just like IB, how much time do you have? But mine's on the opposite end of the spectrum, which would be answering the question, how did you know he wasn't the one? All right. So I've always prided myself on being able to read people, but not in the way people like, you guys seen that TikTok that's come out, snake? That, anyway. So I've always kind of prided myself on being able to read people, but I'm not able to articulate it as well as other people do. So I always feel like the way in which I'm going about things is wrong because it doesn't look like what it looks like for other people. So I was 26, I've known this guy in church, pursued me, whatever it is. And within the first 6 months of dating, I woke up one day, I was like, nah, no, thank you. I'm done with this. I couldn't really explain it to people other than, no, right. And what he did, because we have a communal village, I guess, communal community, was to report me for having broken up with him. So that is report me to my father, report me to my pastor, report me to my choir director. Just report me, because he knows that as a girl that grew up in the church, these are the people that I will have to answer to when they even see me on the street misbehaving. Someone will report me. So I had to answer that question of, why did you break up with him? And because I couldn't articulate it, it was a lot of people saying, but you guys are good together. He's amazing. He's awesome. And it was very strange for me to say, what are you talking about? I don't see what it is that you're talking about. And just the same way you're saying the attraction wasn't there, not because he wasn't good looking or whatever it is, but I just always felt like there was an issue. I remember I was at Nashe's house at Christmas talking about how I'd broken up with this guy and I'm just there, but because he was so insistent, we started talking again. And the thing is also my sorry, mommy and daddy, but all in the name of honesty, is I've always respected my parents as my spiritual advisors. One, because they are actually pastors themselves, but they're also the first people that I think to go to, because the prayers that they pray, I've actually seen them come so quick in action. Sometimes it's shocking. And my dad has also been quite spiritually aware of certain people. He would tell me in retrospect, that guy, I knew it wouldn't work, I saw something, but won't tell you in that circumstance. Okay, so fast forward, my dad asked me, why did you break up with him? I said, Daddy, I feel like he's pretending. I feel like he's something that he's not. And my dad was like, I don't think so, don't worry, just give him a chance, blah blah blah. Fast forward, we're dating, we're getting married now, and all in the name of he's seen visions from God about he's the one for me, I'm the one for him. He saw me in a dress, the same dress he saw me the first time, all these kind of things. And we had the conversations where I'm just like, I'm not convinced. He's saying that God has revealed it to him, and I was like, but God has not revealed it to me. And unfortunately, sisters, I was in that space where me and God were not tight. So I kind of felt like a lot of people were seeing things spiritually that I was not, simply because I was just failing to get that communication from God, because it just wasn't close to him. So what I felt was just me using my head as opposed to everybody else seeing it in the spiritual realm. So therefore I must be wrong. Okay. Put my whole neck in it. I deep dived into that thing because, you know, everybody, and then even the wedding itself, there were problems left, right, and center, just trying to get this thing going. And the thing that I would say as well as one, guys, be very careful the kind of community you have. I think we just there's this saying that a lot of Black people say, family is everything. I'm not particularly sure that is true, because there are some relationships outside of family that have been more, you know, I don't know how to call this thing, but the amount that they pour in you has been so much more than the people that the families that you were born into. So all in the name of family is everything. The abuse had to be tolerated, the mistreatment had to be tolerated from both sides. And it was the statement of, you know, when something good is happening, that's when the devil is moving. That's why it's so difficult. As opposed to, this is God giving you red flashing signs, you know, but it's because the devil is the one that's rather trying. So we're married. And if I tell you guys, within 2 weeks in that marriage, I was like, this guy has changed. And then one day I sat down and I was like, no, he hasn't changed. He's actually just become comfortable in revealing his full self.
Wow.
Because now we are married. My brother would attest. A year into it, I actually ran to my parents' house, had a mental breakdown. Because all throughout the year I'd been complaining. Guys, I'm not happy. You people of today, you're always looking for happiness. It's not all about happiness. Plus, happiness is subjective, right? It's just because it's too difficult, therefore you find it unhappy. And the difficulties, depending on who you speak to, people will say it's normal. Again, that statement, be careful when people say it is normal. That's why I love that whole thing you said about, if this has been people's story, I'm glad that that's not mine. So when they're saying it's normal, I should have been very headstrong in identifying that even if that's what you are used to, that should not be my portion. But because you have your community, your village, you have your spiritual advisors, you have people
That takes bravery,
right,
as well, to step outside of the pack. Because we like to belong.
It was so difficult. And then the thing is, the alarm bells were consistently ringing. And when I tell people, like, even though I was in it, because the prayers were still happening, God, if it's me, you know, soften my heart, all that kind of stuff towards this person, because even as my husband, I'm not really treating him well because of the way he treats me. And then, you know, when you watch Diary of a Mad Black Woman, regardless of what this woman was going through, she was still being that dutiful wife. So especially for women, the education out there is that we must first be subservient or humble enough to be able to change the narrative. It's also the same narrative in War Room. Regardless of what's going on, you take it to God as opposed to dealing with that person. And that was the difficulty, because this guy is mistreating me. I'm talking about it. People are saying it's normal. And all I can do is pray. And long story short, guys, basically, a year into the marriage, whenever that thing happened, and I cried, I broke down everything to my parents. This guy was blessed with the silver tongue, right? He managed to explain away his actions, because also the way in which people perceive things when they're not in it is very different. And then I realized, you know what, it really is just me and God. So if someone is going to solve the situation, it can only be God. So I stopped talking about my movements. I stopped complaining about things, and just started moving towards ensuring that even if I'm not happy, I have to be living in the purpose that God, you know, put me on this planet for. So I started focusing outside of the marriage, started focusing on making sure that it was also a lesson in the fact that even though people were seeing things in a certain way, especially when, you know, because as girls you talk, you be like, what was your experience, and then you know that's not your experience, so then you're comparing it to everyone else. But I learned that God doesn't talk to me the same way he talks to you. He doesn't. Do you get it? And I found that out the hardest way. But I appreciate now having learned that lesson, because it's probably something I hadn't learned for, unfortunately, 28 years, and had to go through that in order to learn. But yeah, in the the mistreatment was there. It was the harsh words. It was the slight aggravation, aggressiveness. And then unfortunately one day it got physical. And I'm just happy that still because of the way I felt like within me, that I just knew this wasn't it. Yeah. And that this, whether it was the spirit, what else, because we give it so many names, intuition, the Holy Spirit, whatever it is, I just knew there were certain precautions I needed to take, not completely entangle myself with this person, so that when it came to that situation, finally, when it came out that this is who he was, I mean, I didn't have to tell anybody. They were like, oh my God, now we believe you. Oh, wow. You're so lucky. And it was so difficult going into it. But when I tell you, like, people, especially when you're preparing for divorce, the thing about it, they say, is you have to make sure you're actually ready to divorce, because once you get to that point, there's like no turning back, especially for the other person as well, the emotional aspect of it. So you have to be sure. It was so difficult going into it, but the peace of mind and the ease, legal officer would tell you divorces take however long. Mine was 4 months.
Wow.
From start to finish, done. And I was just like, and it was so easy. Like, I didn't suffer any losses. A lot of people look at me, it's like, oh my gosh, you're doing so well for someone that got divorced, And I was like, again, I'll say it, because I am happier now. I am at peace not being in it. And the one thing that I'm like, I know it might be weird, but you don't know who else to thank if not God, is that I'm finally vindicated in all the stuff I've been saying, all the things I did, going against my pastor, saying to my parents, hey guys, honestly, you didn't try with this one, and stuff like that. But
wow.
Yes, that's it.
Is that something that you feel you've healed from knowing something is true for you and not having anyone?
Yes, literally. And it's always been like that throughout life, especially like, in university, you hear rumors about yourself and it's not true. But then you don't know how to explain it to people, so you're there just suffering in silence. Or even in the past, when somebody says, oh, why didn't you go, even career-wise, why didn't you take this path? This is what suits you more. You're better, suited, you're better...
suited for this
role and that sort of thing. And then you kind of have to explain why you went this way and that way. And it's always been that way, where I've just never been able to maybe fight for myself. So just, and even in this situation, I couldn't fight for myself. God had to literally vindicate me. But it's taught me particularly that my relationship with him is my relationship with him, and I'm not going to explain it to anybody else. I'm not going to be apologetic for how it comes across. And if I have to answer for whatever I need to answer for one day, it's
between you and
right?
God.
Exactly.
The journey. The journey is between you and God. And what I absolutely love about your story, because it's laced with so much sweetness and laced with so many lessons, right? One of the things that I absolutely love about your story is the fact that in all of it, it teaches us that other people can have their own discernment, right? Other people can have their own visions of your own life. Other people can have their own visions of, you are meant to be my wife. But except if God lays that same discernment on you, then you have to be thinking, am I going into this vision of somebody else, or am I in alignment with God? Have I also got peace? I always say, where you find peace, you find God. Like in the decisions that we make, have you got the peace? Because you can still feel the fear, but then there's peace with what you're doing, right? Like you can still have fear, but know that actually, like, there's just this peace that surpasses all understanding. The peace that, like, actually, like, this everything about my body is telling me no, but I have this overwhelming sense of peace.
Yeah.
But without that peace, without your own discernment, whose discernment are we listening to? Because at the end of the day, everybody else goes to their houses, goes to their husbands, goes to their wives, and you're left with the decision that other people have made on your behalf.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel right. I mean, just from you didn't feel right. You
Yeah.
knew
And you didn't
something
even-
didn't feel right.
So you didn't even get confirmation.
Yeah,
Like
and he was
yourself.
good
He was trying
on
to confirm
paper.
for
Do you see?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
youth leader, so involved in the church. And the thing I also made intentional was to date someone who was accountable to other people, because that's why the mistake I made in the past. So the report that was coming back about him was just good everywhere.
Yes.
You know, so it's like you sit there and you're like, the problem that I have is probably with me, because I, as an individual, have also experienced some very bad traumatic experiences in the past. So I already had issues going into that relationship. So you kind of just turn the camera on yourself thinking, well, I must be the problem. I must sort of resolve myself, blah, blah, blah. But then when you go through that journey, there were this one season, 14 days straight, no eating, no drinking. I don't even know how I did it. And I remember I was sleeping like maybe 36 hours a day, and that's how I was obviously able to do it. But just also because I was jobless, so I was able to do it. But coming out of that, and I was like, what more can I do?
Yeah.
How can it still be me after all of that?
It wasn't your
It
fault.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As women, that's
But-
what we do. We tend
Yeah, you
to-
blame yourself. Yeah. But yeah. There's
Why
no way
do
you could have
we?
known.
Why do we blame ourselves for things? Because even with work, for example, you start off an email already apologetic. Like, I just
Sorry for the
wanted
delay.
to. I just.
It's that
Yeah, I
just.
just.
just,
Why, why are we so apologetic about who we are?
No, maybe we want to come across as polite, not being too forceful.
Yeah, but I
It's
don't think
ingrained.
men
I don't
do
know.
that.
Men don't do that. Definitely not.
There have
So,
been so many, and look, and I don't say because I've had parents that have always been encouraging of me, and have always built me up. But I've been the same.
Yeah.
So like, there aren't really messages out there as women that say your voice is valid. Speak up. It's like, okay, maybe tread on
Yeah.
tiptoe, just check, be careful. But there isn't anything that says, oh yeah, go on, speak up. What do you have to say? We want to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I didn't really receive that. Even in, say, for example, you're in a meeting and they ask for a contribution. I'm sorry, but a lot of the time I'm not being looked at.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of like, who are the people? And so if no one looks at, you can just stay there and keep quiet.
I just want this
And
meeting
fade
to
into
even end.
background.
It's
Yeah.
too much. Like,
That's it.
Wow. Do you know what? We could continue with this chat for ages, but our time is not on our side.
thank you for listening to my story, guys.
Thank you for
It's,
sharing.
thank you
Yeah,
for sharing.
I'm so sorry
Very
that you had
powerful.
to go through
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
well, we
Yeah.
thank God, because look at me still
You're
here.
free,
Absolutely.
glowing.
Like, honestly,
Yes.
And the
I'm-
growth.
Yes.
And like the
Yes.
growth that will continue to happen,
Amen.
like it's as well in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And it is well,
Amen.
anybody that is going through divorce, anyone that's going through some kind of a loss, whether it's the loss of your job, the loss of a relationship, any type of loss that you might be going through, our God is a restorer. He knows the beginning to the ending. He will never leave you, nor will he ever forsake you. Even though you might not know what tomorrow will bring, God says, do not even worry about that. Let tomorrow worry about itself. He's got it all sorted out for you. And we hope that you've really enjoyed the session. And if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat, and we'll answer them if we can. And also, if you would like for us to pray with you, please drop us your details. The team is on hand, ready to take your details, and we can get in touch and pray with you. We love you so much, and thank you for listening to this part of the She's Royal segment.